Are you looking for a technique that is easy and definitive to leave the body? Is that even possible? What sort of technique would that be for you? Let's talk about that in a moment. Hello and welcome to this channel that is about taking control of our personal evolution both spiritually and in this lifetime, and what could be more of a spiritual experience than having a first-hand out-of-body experience in which we see what is beyond this body, beyond this world. What happens during the process of death or afterlife when we can have an experience in which we do not even sleep. We just put our body to rest and we feel the disconnection from the physical body. We are lucid throughout the whole process. We see ourselves outside of the bodies. We decide what to do. We decide when to come back, and then eventually we come back and we can remember about that. This gives us a completely different perspective of life. By the way, I just a few weeks ago published a report or an account of one of my experiences in which I could feel going out and coming in case you want just one example. But I also said that when we hear examples from others, it's only valuable for us to see possibilities, but the case for each of us is always different because we are unique in how we sense and in how we develop this experience. And there comes my point about the easy technique. Sometimes there are individuals who they claim that they have an easy technique to leave the body or a definitive one. And I keep thinking, that is not so simple. Maybe it's very easy for them when they use that technique. So I completely trust they are saying what they feel is correct. But I also see that sometimes this may confuse people. This may somehow put people down because few could try and say, this doesn't work for me. So that is the easy one. That is the one for beginners, but it doesn't work for me. So from one hand, some may have experience because they trust so much that is easy and they will do. But the majority perhaps would feel frustrated and consider that they cannot do because they are incapable of doing it. So I would like to mention a few points of what is involved in producing an out-of-body experience so that we understand how techniques work and we are able to choose a technique for us. But number one thing is, if we are to leave the body completely lucid, as I said, from the beginning, from the moment that we are still inside the physical bodies, we need first to be able to control the physical body in a way that we allow a very, very, very deep relaxation, deeper than anything you can imagine, to a point that we don't even sense the physical body, not even if we tried. But on the other hand, this control has to be in such a way that our brain activity, we also control it because we allow it to reduce. So we kind of reduce brain waves, reduce the functioning or the way we operate in our brain with our thoughts, but we remain lucid. There are techniques for this, so if you do not know how to do it, perhaps you can look for these or I can share with you some of the techniques, but this is key. If we do not know how to do that, then you will try techniques, but the physical body is holding you. So what should be the simplest part, that is the physical body, is there creating problems. Second thing that is needed to leave the body is some level of maybe control or some characteristics of the energy body, because the energy body has to be flexible with no blockage. Perhaps also in a way, if possible, in which the frequency of our energy body is a little higher. So for some of you who do not know about that, you can try and find information about vibrational state, which happens very often when we are about to leave the body or when we are leaving the body. But anyways, the vibrational state or all the different sensations that we feel when we are detaching are actually because the energy body is adapting, is somehow splitting and allowing, splitting I mean because it's physical and non-physical, so it's somehow separating, and it goes part of it with the non-physical body or the subtle body, whatever you want to call it. Maybe you call it astral body, but this energetic condition is fundamental. Sometimes there are individuals who try many techniques throughout years and do not succeed. And they do not succeed because their energies are still so stuck that everything is good to go, but they are kind of glued so much still in the physical body that the techniques they are using do not give results soon enough. They end up giving up or falling asleep. The third thing that we need also in a technique, or we need to be able to master to have a lucid, conscious, out-of-body experience, is certain level of control of the subtle body. Because once we are out, we are going to have to make movements, decide where to go, look, think, act. There are certain, how would I say, manifestation of ours that we have there that requires certain understanding of how the non-physical body operates. So in this case, this is also very important that some techniques will tackle this aspect involved in living the body. And the fourth aspect, finally, is the related somehow to the mental body or our mental state in terms of our lucidity, our awareness, how much we are focused on the present, on the reality, and not fantasizing, imagining with expectations, with fears, with some sort of maybe thought or ideas that contaminate and reduce the awareness, the lucidity throughout our experience. But the techniques that we create or that we use to live the body, they will usually focus in some different aspects, either of the physical body or of the energy body or of the non-physical body, the subtle body, and so forth. So what technique will be good and easy for you? It depends. It depends on in which of these elements that are involved in living the body you have most difficulty with, or perhaps what is the greatest obstacle you have. If for you, you end up being too much concentrated, for example, in the physical world or physical body, perhaps you have to use some sort of technique that deals more with the physical level. Maybe breathing or relaxation, something like this. Also, perhaps if the difficulty is in the energy body is too crystallized, too dense, it's not as flexible as it should. Maybe you should do a VELO technique, which I can put for you down below some information about it, or you can perhaps try some different mechanisms for you to allow your energy to become more flexible. I can definitely make a video about that if you want. There's lots to discuss on that. Or you can use techniques that will help you create a sense of the non-physical body when it starts disconnecting and produces sensations that are similar to the sensations of the separation from the body. So in this way, induces a more clear control of the non-physical body, therefore allowing you to disconnect lucidly. And in other cases, you need techniques that are actually involving some sort of thinking concentration, because that is the point that you fail the most in your concentration, in how you approach the technique. Having said that, of course, we have then to discard that there could be other things interfering. For example, fear of what you will see, of who you will meet, fear of non-physical people, or perhaps if you have an energetic environment in your room that does not favor you living the body, or an energetic environment that somehow carry information of people you know, people who are currently in this lifetime with physical bodies, or maybe people who are in between lives but who are interfering. So when we talk about the techniques, we are talking about mastering the 4 bodies that may be more directly involved in how you control your out-of-body experiences. But on the other hand, there are different factors beyond this that can influence. So you see, we need to fix what is not related to us, and then we need to get a technique that somehow helps us in the point that would favor the most in our case. Anyway, I hope to have given you tips. I think it's very critical that we understand this, because otherwise some of us may just think, oh, this is not for me, this is too difficult, I won't be able ever. This is not true. This is indeed difficult. Most people have to dedicate a lot. I remember once that I had an experience that happened so easily. I just woke up in the middle of the night and I felt everything was disconnected and I was so prone to leave the body, and I thought, oh, maybe I do a technique. But I hardly thought of using my concentration to be somewhere else or far from my body and looking at my body, and bah, I was there already. And that day I thought, it's so easy to leave the body when we are in the right condition. But there are other cases, or there had been other cases in which I tried techniques and tried and didn't succeed. And I say this so that you know, if it's not so simple for you, it's because it's not that simple. You just need to keep working and training. You will develop. You get to know what of these aspects you are good at, what of these aspects you still need to perfect, improve, adjust, and together we can work on that. I'll be very glad to help if I can be of any service to you. Just drop your questions, tell me what you need me to explain, but we all need to keep growing and with discernment, with our feet on the ground. Okay? So I'm very glad I had the opportunity to share these ideas with you. I hope they are useful. I look forward to seeing you again next video. Bye bye.